that just limited some of my options. What is this he here? I don't see how the watch is going to help. Oh, really? Okay, that's stupid. Okay, now if I had the axe, that would have been really cool. Okay, so let's try that again once more with axe. Yes, 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 yes! Yes, no! 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 Oh! Oh! I'm gonna die, but I don't care, because I'm gonna end the game anyway. Okay. Yes, the cat takes damage from being in water. We found that. I tried, there was another pool. Oh, this is that pool. There was that green float. Thank you. If I'm right. Yes. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. There we go. That was it. Okay. Okay. We're close enough to 1 that I'll keep playing this till 1. But this is fucking ridiculous. Okay. Okay. I see what was slowing me down last time. I don't know that I'm gonna get it this time. Yes, 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 yes! Yes, yes, yes! Oh! Oh! Yes! Yes! Oof. And we should be back. Can you guys hear me? Is the mic working again? Yeah, I guess so. If you're saying welcome back, I guess so. Okay. That was Oh no, we went right and then left. Oh God, God, God. Oh God, no! 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 Oh. Let's see. I'm not sure this is gonna work. Maybe I just need to do it faster. Hello all. And all being a couple of people, but that's okay. Let's see who we got. I assume Pow's in here. Yeah, we have Pow in here. And I see a couple of other names that don't look like bots. I'll probably wait another couple of minutes before I get into the meat of it. But this is a special stream that I'm doing. I normally stream Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. But this time, this is a special stream that I'm doing for Arisia. Hopefully most of the people here are already aware of that. but Arisia is the science fiction convention that's been happening for many decades and is very large. Got canceled this year for for COVID reasons, and they decided to throw together some volunteer online activities, and I had signed up to do this. Do you auto post videos of streams? As in, can I link to the videos of this to your stream? Yes. So all of my VODs automatically get posted, but I also have a YouTube channel with the same name. And because VODs automatically disappear, every stream that I do, I download. Since I've been streaming, every stream that I've done is up on my YouTube channel. And I can make sure to put it there and send your link, probably by the end of the day. And that way you'll have a permanent way to do that. Hello, Mazzy. Thanks for lurking. Yeah, better to link to the YouTube. Well, so at my level, at affiliate level, the videos stay there for 90 days. And then they get deleted and there's nothing you can do about it. So it would be good for a while, but it's better. I'll make sure to upload it to the YouTube tonight, and that way I can send you a link to the YouTube. So I have a bunch of notes put together, but I'm also happy to just answer questions, and we'll see what works out. Whether we want to go over specific topics that you guys want to bring up, or I can go through my notes and we'll see. It depends on whether you have a focused list of questions or not. It sounds like Tapao, you've already started streaming, but it's still a little intermittent. So you've already gotten over that first barrier. But if it sounds like you got some specific questions. So also, if you have Prime LinkedIn at 60 or 90 days, yeah. I for sure was wondering if you can talk about Streamlabs Desktop versus OBS versus Stream Elements. Yes, I can absolutely talk an awful lot about that. I know a little less about Stream Elements. I know a lot about Stream Elements and their tools to help you stream, but I don't know about. I think they have streaming software also, but I've never looked into it. And to be honest, I haven't run into anybody who's using it at all. But a lot of the stuff that I do, the tech on my stream, is specifically put together to help small streamers like myself who don't have a bunch of mods running around banning people and promoting stuff and whatnot. Yeah, so like I said, Stream Elements and Streamlabs both offer bots and integrations with your stream that can help with like running commands and responding to stuff. And yes, I know about that and I can talk about that. But I think Stream Elements also has their own broadcasting software, like not OBS or Streamlabs Desktop, but their own broadcasting software. And I don't know anything about that, and I've never heard anybody. Green screen is not quite right. Let me shift over a little. And I can't really talk much about that, but I can definitely talk about those other things you're asking about. Were you asking about broadcasting software? Like, are you asking about what's now called Streamlabs Desktop, what used to be Streamlabs OBS, versus the OG open source OBS? Because I could talk a lot about that. Thank you, New Island. I appreciate that. This is, by the way, also today just on phone. Okay. What do you mean? Do you mean you're using your phone now, or are you talking about you're streaming from your phone? Because I know that's a thing. There's, I think Streamlabs has a mobile thing that you can do from your phone. And a lot of streamers have. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Not a problem. I mean, this is going to be a little bit stream of consciousness, I will go over my notes at least briefly that I threw together, but feel free to speak up if you hear something that's interesting that you wanted to know more about. So Tapao, were you talking, are you asking more about the broadcaster software like OBS or Streamlabs Desktop, or are you asking about those other third-party like bots and stuff and integrations with your stream? Because it's two very different topics. And I'm also very willing to get into what happened with Streamlabs a couple of months ago, which is actually stuff that's been happening for years, if people want to talk about that. Your slow mode ate my post. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. So I'm not seeing an answer from Tapao on which topic she's... Why is it in slow mode? Users may send message. Why is it in slow mode? Hold on for a second. I certainly did not turn on slow mode. Okay, excellent. I will talk about that in a second. First, I want to find out why the stream... I must have hit something by accident. I've never put my stream in slow mode. And I don't remember how to turn that off. I know I just need maybe it's a slow off. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I will give you a shortened version of the whole saga, and we can dig in as much of that as on that topic as you want. So in the beginning, there was OBS project, OBS, and they had this fantastic free open source software for broadcasting. I'll use the term software for broadcasting to differentiate it as the other streaming stuff like the bots, etc. Okay, and it was good, and everybody liked it. This company, Streamlabs, came along, and they decided to fork the open source project and do a bunch of changes to it. Now, when they were ready to release it, they went to OBS and they said, hey, we want to release this fork, and we want... Let me turn down my music in my headphones a little. We wanted to release our version, and we want to call it Streamlabs OBS. Are you okay with that? And they said, absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form do we want you to have OBS in your product name if you're changing it and you're not making it open source. Yes, they forked it on Git because it's open source. This is one of the decisions that you have to make about open source softwares. You don't necessarily get to choose who uses it, because that's the whole concept of open source is, if a bad person wants to use your software, you can't really do a lot to stop them. So they did that fork, and they made a lot of changes. Mostly what they've done is put like a top layer on top of the underlayer stuff. If you're a software person, it's basically they've changed a lot of interfaces on top of the underlying functionality. Right. Well, they argue that it's open source. However, you can't actually get all the source code. And that's part of the problem, is that with the open source contract that the open source license that OBS project is published under, any changes to it have to be sent back so that it can be included in or whatever. And they're not doing that. Besides using the name when it was expressly forbidden by the OBS project. Now, what happened is Streamlabs bolted on all this other stuff on top of it, which, yes, it makes it easier to use. It's definitely easier to use Streamlabs than it is to use, well, what's now Streamlabs Desktop. That was Streamlabs OBS, than it is to use straight up OBS. I don't think a lot of people who are technical would have any problems with it, but I'm not going to lie, there are certain things that just kind of are easier in Streamlabs. It does a little more for you. But the cost of that is that now that they've changed the code so much, they can't easily incorporate enhancements that OBS project makes. And it's also much, much more resource intensive because there's a lot more going on in the program. Now, when all of this blew up, it turns out there was a whole bunch of other companies that Streamlabs has screwed over the years that started coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, this company screwed us over too. So, for instance, most streamers know about the Elgato Stream Deck. And Streamlabs came out with their own kind of software version of that. And they decided to call it like Stream Deck Live or something like that. So they stole the name and the functionality from that project. So stealing the functionality, that's perfectly fine because you're not Stream Deck didn't have a patent on making a button thing that you can do, commands on the computer. I could throw together something on an Arduino that can do that in half a day. But they kind of stole the name and a lot of the branding. And also, there was another product. I'm trying to remember what it was. There was another product that came forward that they not only stole the functionality and based their product's name on the other product, but when they put together their website, they literally copied the other company's website and made that a page on their website and changed the names. They even had they copied over the testimonials from other people and just changed the names on the testimonials. And there are free versions, but Stream Deck is, I thought, the name of a thing, not the specific thing. Well, I mean, Stream Deck is, I would assume that Elgato copyrighted that name, and they may not care so much about that if Streamlabs wasn't doing this over and over and just kind of being shitty to other companies. Now, I happen to use one of those alternatives, and I could talk for hours about it. The two software-only competitors to Stream Deck that are out there are. Let me go to my page. You know what? Let me live stream like a. You could say that, but the fact that Kleenex has become a very common name is not a legal thing. That's Kleenex puts out with that because it's to their advantage for everybody to call that Kleenex. But legally, they could, if they wanted to, or at least back in the day when everybody started calling it, they could have started going after other companies. I don't think there's any company out there that sells something that they call Kleenex. It's just everybody calls tissues Kleenex. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So let me get to that section of my document and then I will share it. Actually, while I'm speaking about that, let's sort this. And then go to this, and then I have this document. I'm going to put the link to the document in chat. Yeah, exactly. Yes. See, Velcro is a company that decided that they needed to protect their name, and they went through a lot of effort. And hi, yeah. So I'll get to it, but I have a bot that greets new chatters, and I just started the bot, so it's doing that. Here's that place in the document. So let me go to my browser scene. Capture. There we go. Okay. So this is a link to that document. So you have all these links in here. So there's the Elgato Stream Deck, like I said. Yes, absolutely. That's why I said Kleenex kind of lost the opportunity to do so. They decided they didn't want, that wasn't the hill they wanted to die on. And in fact, Velcro was also pretty late in trying to fight that. And there was also the complication of a lot of the concepts of Velcro were developed for NASA, so were basically federally funded. But that's a whole other issue. Okay, so you have, it's not showing my mouse. That's okay, I'll deal with that. So I can highlight text. So Touch Portal is what I use. And Touch Portal, as far as I know, can do everything that Stream Deck does. And there's a free version that's mostly unrestricted. The pro version is like $15. So it's absolutely dirt cheap to do it. You could do it for free. And the way that, and there's another one called Layer On Board. And the way that these work is you run some software that you do for setting it up and all the programming and configuration on your streaming computer. And then you have a iOS or Android tablet or phone, any kind of like mobile device, and it talks to that software and the buttons appear on the screen. So I'll give you an example. Now, I use this on Arisia Discord. Question, is Streamlabs Windows only? Yes, that is another differentiator. When they started putting all that heavy front end stuff in front of it, they decided that it would be better if it was Windows only. So I use OBS Project for many reasons. One of them is that I use Linux most of the time. And I'll be honest with you, this Windows computer that I'm streaming on now, I only use it for gaming and streaming. And 99% of the time I'm using my Linux box. I am set up to stream from Linux also on my Linux computer, but a lot of the stuff that I want to play is Windows only. So I just set up to stream on Windows. But OBS Project can run on either platform. And that, or in fact a Mac, Windows Mac or Linux. So Luren Brand and Touch Portal are free or dirt cheap. If you have a device like your phone or a tablet, I use a tablet. And it just does amazing things. I have so much of the automation in my stream is based on it. It's incredible. So I'm going to show off my Touch Portal setup, or some of it, because that's a topic you guys are interested in. I'm going to dig into that and give you an idea of what it looks like. I'll also mention Touch Portal is under very heavy development, very active development. They just came out with a 3.0 that adds a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see if I can do this easy. Yes, I can. There we go. So this is my Touch Portal. This is the Touch Portal application that's running on. Folks are also interested in StreamYard. Yeah, so StreamYard is, I don't have the link open, but StreamYard is basically streaming software that you can do right from your Chrome browser, and you don't install anything. I have never used it because I've never needed to use it, but that's what that is. In theory, it works fine, but I don't know. I haven't tried it. As I said, I run a very heavy technical automated stream, so you know, it probably wouldn't do the trick for me. But like if you wanted to do something spur of the moment or a computer that's kind of underpowered and something like that, it would definitely be worth checking out. And I believe that's free also, just like OBS. So with Touch Portal, and you can imagine like what you're seeing on the screen here, that middle part of my screen is what I see on my tablet. So I've got like a main screen that starts out, but this is this screen that I normally on when I'm streaming. So I can change all my scenes. I could turn the mic on and off. I could turn the desktop my audio on and off. I can pause. I use Pretzel Rock for my music. I can pause the music, and I can do all this stuff. But if you could see, I've got a whole bunch of different screens for different kind of buttons. I've got a soundboard with a whole bunch of sounds on it, and I've got them all color coded. And you could do more things. You can have buttons that. Let me show you that. That's pretty cool. That's a cool feature. If I go back to streaming for a second, so I've got a button that can change colors when they're on and off, like a toggle. Oops, cancel. Sorry. Oh, it's not gonna. That doesn't work on here. But you can have the appearance of the buttons change as toggles and stuff like that. I've got specific event ones. I've got, what's the best one to show off? The soundboard, live streams. So I've got a thing that I do in my stream where I can show live streams of animals that are like live stream over the internet, and this is like coming from zoos and stuff like that. But some of the, I'll show you like one of the super cool things you can do. I have a big red technical difficulties buttons that changes to a scene that, you know, if things are like broken on my stream and I need to fix it, I can go to that temporarily. I've got a open all apps button. This was really, really big. How do you link this with your stream software so that it knows about your scenes? So if you go to the setup, this is another thing about Touch Portal, and this is like one of the advantages of Touch Portal over Lyranbrand. It has integrations with a whole bunch of things. So it could talk directly to OBS. It could talk directly to XSplit. It could talk directly to Photoshop, Twitter, Twitch, Philips Hue bulbs. I don't have it set up, but you could do Discord. So basically, you set up the it connects over the WebSocket interface to OBS. It's like a plugin you put in OBS for the WebSocket, and then it just works. But it could also integrate with Discord, so you can have it tweet things out, you know, connecting it to Twitter and stuff like that. And then, you know, just like you connect OBS to Twitch, you would connect this to Twitch, or it can work through there. Kind of connect to Streamlabs. I don't know. I don't know. But it doesn't necessarily have to. I mean, there's only so much of the functionality that you need it to actually connect. Like changing scenes and stuff like that, you can actually do that even if there's not an integration, because a lot of what these buttons can do is like simulate key presses and mouse clicks. So anything that you could do with your keyboard, you could do with this. Oh, I was going to show off the Open All apps. So Open All apps, I run an awful lot of apps when I start streaming. So I have this one button that I press, and it opens up all the applications for me. So I start up my gaming computer, and I launch Touch Portal, and I press that button, and it just launches everything else for me. Aside from these pages, all my scenes and stuff are in Streamlabs, any commands and stuff. Yeah, and your commands and stuff. yeah, so I believe you can. So let's look at a. I think I have a test page, don't I? Let's create a new button, and I'll show off this screen here. So this is like all the different actions you can do. You could start applications, open a folder. You've got conditional logic and loops and stuff like that, and timers. You've got values in there that you could use between screens. You can do HTTP stuff, change button visuals. You can play media. This is all stuff you can do with OBS. Now, in addition to being able to run commands, there's also events that you can respond to. So when a certain thing happens in OBS, it'll trigger one of these events, and you can have, oh, here you go, Streamlabs Desktop. Yeah, there's your answer. So Streamlabs Desktop, so you can set up your integration this way. So I take it back, you can. And similar functionality to OBS. Oh, sorry. You know what? Let me that would be hard. Let me change to that window. Sorry. Is this gonna work? No. I'd rather not share my whole desktop, which is the issue. But I may have to do that. Let me just do that. Let me go to a different scene, and I'll just share my whole desktop and screw it. Right screen capture. There we go. Okay. Apologies. Thank you for pointing out. I wasn't looking at my OBS, and I didn't see that you were. Yeah, so let me back up. So you've got, I've got this screen called test where I do my mad science experiments on. So if I want to create a button, so this is a pop-up of all the different events and actions and triggers and integrations that you can do. So go to a page. You can do virtual key presses and mouse clicks. So that's why I say, like, even if this doesn't have integration with a particular tool that you want to use, you may be able to get away with using it. So for instance, I like I said, I use Pretzel Rock for my music, and it doesn't have direct integrations with Pretzel Rock. However, Pretzel Rock has, you can set up hotkeys to do different things. So I've got buttons on Touch Portal, which will trigger those hotkeys, so I can control it anyway. You've got logic. Like I said, you have like timers, and you have if and else statements. And you have, as a programmer, I greatly value being able to reuse stuff. So one of the things you can do with this is define a bunch of things to do in a reusable block, and then use that across different buttons. And that's like super, super handy. Change button states. Each buttons can have values, so you can have on or off, or you can increment or decrement things, stuff like that. You can read and write files, HTTP get and put, play media, a lot of OBS integrations, as you could see. And again, like the blue ones are the actions that you could take to control OBS. And these are events that you can respond to, like when the recording state, like when you start recording, you can have it trigger actions, things like that. And it does have Streamlabs desktop integration too. That was just added. So getting back to that story for a minute about OBS project versus Streamlabs, after much fighting and threatening, there was kind of silence from both companies. And then eventually OBS Project said, hey, we're friends now, we've worked it all out. And Streamlabs has agreed to make certain changes, for instance, changing the name of the product and things like that. and now we're buddies, and now you shouldn't hate them. I reserve the right to still hate them because they're the same shitty company that's been doing this kind of stuff all along. So I would never, I mean, aside from the fact that I want to be able to stream from Linux, I would not use Streamlabs ideologically. And I'm working as hard as I can to move away from all Streamlabs functionality, like all their bots and their payment system and stuff like that. And I am writing my own Twitch bot that contains a lot of the functionality that I was using from there. And that's also free and open source. And I can get into that if you want, because a lot of the functionality is aimed at smaller streamers who don't have mods that can like do stuff for them. And I can get into that if people are interested. The link to that is on this document. Yeah, so you also have, Twitch integration. I think SE Live is the phone thing that I was talking about. So you can like do stuff when you get new subscribers and raids and hosts and stuff like that. All that stuff that you can have Streamlabs or Stream Elements do, you can do it right from here. And you don't have to rely on them for that. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of that I'm doing with my own Streambot. And a lot of the functionality that I've added to there, you can't do in those. So for instance, you know how the Streamlabs bot can greet new users when they first talk in chat? Well, I implemented that functionality, but I also did it so that if you have a bunch of friends that come into your chat, you can make specific greetings for each friend. And you can even say, when this friend comes in chat, I want to say this on the screen in chat, and I want to play this sound specific to them. And these ones I want to shout out, and these ones I don't want to shout out. So it automatically does the shout outs for you and stuff like that. I just released version 2.0 of it, and I'm super happy about it. And very well, I don't want to turn this to an advertisement for it, but I'm very willing to work with anybody who is interested in looking into it, because it isn't something that a lot of people are using yet. I'm trying to get it more publicity, because it would be great if other people were using it. A couple of more things about Touch Portal before we go on to other topics. You have values that you can use across all the different things. So I've got, right here, I've got like different, I've got buttons that can change my category, because one of my biggest failings as a streamer, honestly, is I forget to change my category a lot. So I have automation to say, well, when I go into this scene, I'm going to change to this topic, and I've got them in here so I can maintain them easier. Events. Events are, instead of like a button press or something like that, it's if somebody does this, then you can have all this this is my most complicated one, so don't shriek in horror at how big it is. But it's a visual programming environment like the rest of it, and you could say when this thing happens. Let me give a simpler example. When somebody hosts me, it says a message in chat, and it waits a little time, and then it plays, and then it plays an audio file, and things like that. And these events can be super powerful. I set up specific ones for specific events also. For instance, like when Thanksgiving is mentioned, it plays a particular sound. That's disabled because it's no longer Thanksgiving. I have a complicated one I have one for like Halloween. Somebody would type in Halloween for chat on Halloween, and I would do this evil skeleton laugh and play this video on screen, stuff like that. a lot of this is to make it easier for streamers that are busy because they're small and don't have mods. But a lot of it is also about branding and customizing and making your stream stand out, differentiating. This is a topic I actually wrote about on here. Branding. You know, these days there's just there's an insane number of small streamers on Twitch right now, and Twitch as a company is totally focused on the people that are making them money and not the small streamers. And they're putting zero effort into making it easier for smaller streamers to differentiate themselves. A lot of those streamers out there, you know, maybe this is my personal opinion, but there's a lot of streamers out there that objectively aren't very good. They've got bad setups. They're streaming without talking. They're not watching chat, things like that. And there's no way for the casual viewer to find the streamers that are, you know, doing a more interesting professional stream. Unless you look at like the numbers of how many people are in there. But that assumes you've already been discovered as a good streamer, that you've got more people checking you out. Are there any other specific topics we want to talk about? Because I'm very happy to address specific questions. I think I covered everything that's been asked so far. But if you have other topics, let's bring it up. You know, I could talk about scenes. Thank you, Tabao. Yes, this is the first time you've talked since the bot started, so that it did that. Yeah, totally. Scenes would be good. Okay. Scenes are very, very helpful. I got food and walked back to the real oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Not a problem. So I'm going to run through some of my scenes. Now, some of my scenes are like way more complicated and branded than they need to be. Because I'm trying to do this like Linux lover or high-tech thing. But generally speaking, like the base level of scenes that you really want is stream starting. So, but when you start broadcasting, you don't necessarily want to get in their face right away. First of all, there'll be 0 people. So what's the point? And second of all, you know, you want a couple of people to get there and get interested. And you want to start streaming, like, let's say I always stream 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. But like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before that time, I will start my stream starting. So in my case, it looks like this. You know, I'm kind of an overplanner. And I've got this real fun animation going in the background, which, by the way, is actual real Linux logs that have been cleaned up and anonymized. And I created this video of them scrolling. And I even, because I'm a geek, I have it scrolling at a random speed. But, you know, that allows me to help people. And while the stream is starting, I'm playing random clips from video games that I've played. Okay. And then I've got a Be Right Back screen, which is very similar. Okay. You notice I've also got branding here, showing loyalty of my users to make sure that, you know, they get rewarded for that. And then I've got which is, you know, just me and not other content. I've also got, in addition to that, there's sometimes when you want to like accentuate something. And so I've got 2 different chats that are like my face zoomed in. So I've got this and I've got this. So like, let's say, I know somebody's talking about something. Somebody's talking about something, and they see something ridiculous, and you're like, "What? What?" You know, you could use that for like dramatic effect. I mean, that stuff is not really mandatory, but Yes, yes. I'll show that in a second. Let me finish going through this. I've got a complicated one for gaming that has all these different capture stuff in it. Different ways of capturing different games. I'm starting to do like Gardic Phone and Words on Stream. Sometimes even if you have like a web-based game, do I have the? Yes, let me change to Gardic Phone and then go to the Gardic Phone. So like when I go to my Gardic Phone scene, I've got the screen cropped so it's only showing what I want, which is like much more professional, but it also means that it comes out bigger. I've got a screen for doing polls. And so let's say I started a poll. And I'm using, there's a link to this in the application, but I use this website poll.ma.pe, PollMape, for doing the polls, and they look so much better and so much easier to use. No, I don't use that because first of all, that the Twitch poll shows up in this tiny little thing in the upper right hand corner, and they have to see that and then pull it down and then do a choice, which is awkward. It doesn't show like running totals or anything like that. And this one, I could just type in, like for that, you'd have to like type in like !1 or something like this. And this is just like, I type in a number and and it shows the count. And then when I say the poll is finished, and it gives the instructions in chat too. So I like that a lot better. And there's a link to that in the document. And then I can choose to hide the poll from the overlay. Let me go back. I know I missed a question. Do you have a way of one scene mic? Yes. So what I do for that is, let me go back to gaming, which I think is showing my whole right screen now. Yeah. So what I do is pages, streaming. So I've got my different scenes in here. There's a couple of scenes that aren't in here, but for the most part, they're there. So when I launch my stream starting, I've got an event. So this tells it to change the scene to the scene starting. But I've got an event trigger on that button too that says when I've changed the stream starting, it automatically changes my Twitch topic to just chatting, because I always want to start out with that topic no matter what I'm going to play later. And it mutes my mic. And then when I go into my general chat, it changes to general chat, and I've got an event here also that unmutes my microphone if it was muted. So this way, I cannot start my stream. I cannot start my stream with a dead mic, because it'll automatically activate the mic if it was off. This is a lot. Yes, this is so good. And anybody who wants to reach out to me, who wants to fool around with Touch Portal, I'm like super heavy user of it, as you can see. I've done some really crazy things with it. You know, feel free to reach out to me and ask for help on stuff like that. You can even have buttons that do stuff when you hold down. They recently added, this is fun. Pages. They recently added slider buttons. So you can... Oh, I don't have that set up right. But you can have sliders and individually adjust volumes and things like that. Are you able to export and share some of the stuff you wrote up? So the this document, I posted the link in chat. Let me post it again. And I actually created an Arisia 2023 folder in case we came up with other documents in this talk. I could share it. And touch. Are you talking about like how I've done things in Touch Portal specifically? Like if you make a button that you can export the. Yes. So Touch Portal is just. It's so amazing. They have functionality to do backups, so you can version it. It also has plugins that you can install for more functionality. You can export, but I think the export is binary, so I'm not sure that you can like export one thing. Let me see if you can. Let me go to streaming where a lot of my good stuff is. And let's say chat general. Is there a, what is this? Copy a snapshot of this button to your clipboard. Okay, let's try that. Let's see what that does. Let me try just pasting it in this file. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So it shows exactly what the button has on it. That's pretty damn cool. I'll show you one more, like, really complicated one. And then I'll go back to answering specific questions. Where's my Halloween cat? Oh, random Halloween effect. This one was absolutely crazy. Yes, you can share your setups that way. There's also, I think there's also a way to export specific buttons, but it's I believe the output is binary. It's not something that you could look at and say, oh, that's what I did. You'd have to export it. So this is the craziest one that I've done. I came up with a way of doing random actions. So it can do a random number generator. So if Halloween mode is on, so I can turn the whole thing on and off. This is a visual programming language that's specific to this application. Yes, it looks like Scratch. It works exactly like Scratch. Scratch is what you're thinking of, and it works exactly like Scratch. There's also a couple of programming environments for Arduinos that look like this called MakeCode, and for other microprocessors. It looks exactly like that, and it's just dragging stuff. You're not doing any, like, sitting down and typing. So I've got it, so it generates a random number between 1 and 10, and each of these blocks is, if the random number is that, it does what's in that. So depending on that random number, when this event gets triggered, and this is a channel points redemption, so somebody will tip a particular channel point redemption, and it's random Halloween effect, and one of these things will execute it. Nobody knows which one it'll be. And you can see I've got all these different things in there. I've honestly only done my Arduino stuff in the... Okay. So I'm also... I volunteer in a makerspace. If we're going to go there, I will mention this briefly in case anybody's interested. Not the topic of this talk, but I volunteer in a makerspace in Watertown, and I teach the Arduino classes. I have 3 different classes that I teach on Arduino. If anybody's interested in Arduinos, feel free to reach out to me. Some of them are online, some of them are in person. So even if you're not in that area. So yeah, and I program Arduinos in straight C, hardcore, because I've been programming since junior high school. Okay, looking back up. Yeah, so there is a way to share. Can you export the software? Yeah, so you can do backups and stuff like that. Okay. Okay, cool. Stupidly proud of. Yes. I love that. Especially, women who are interested in this stuff. I've got this one patron at the makerspace that I volunteer at. I think she's in like 12th grade or something like that, and not even for a school project. She just came up on her own, this concept where she wanted to do an Arduino device with an LCD screen that could show the temperature and humidity and gas levels and stuff like that. And we worked on it together, and she built it, and it's now working. So I can go, I think I've kind of beaten this to death. I want to go back to scenes for a second because there's some really important concepts in scenes. Can I share that desktop instead? I think I should. Or maybe I just move OBS to this window. Maybe that's... Oh, no. Whoa! Okay. You're going to have to put up with that for me to be able to show off what I want to show off. Because this is a super important concept when it comes to scenes. I talked about all these scenes I have. As a software developer, it's important to me to be able to reuse stuff. And it's both so things stay consistent and so things stay consistent. And so you only have to change things in one place to change them all over. So I've got a whole bunch of scenes that start with NS, and that stands for nested scene. So there's elements that I have, like pop-ups has, oh, now you can't see it because I gotta go back to gaming. But in pop-ups, I have like all of my reactive pop-ups. I've got my background behind all my scenes. And now when I go to, like, let me go to gaming, you could see I'm in gaming. I have to be in gaming in order to show OBS. You could see you can have a source that's another scene. So you set up all this stuff like NS webcam for gaming. So my webcam actually, there is actually no source for my webcam in here. I've got it in a central place. So any gaming-like pages can just include the one thing which has the perfect settings for my webcam. And I've got another one for the chat screens, all my pop-ups. You could see on, I've got a tool that I'm using to show that, oops. Sorry. Let me go back to gaming. I've got a thing that shows what keys I'm pressing on the keyboard. Anything I press is going to be a problem because there's so many hotkeys in OBS, but take my word for it. And I've got like a custom thing of like the common keys that you see in game. And I've got another thing that shows if I had my controller plugged in, what things I'm doing on my controller. And I've got those as reusable components in these nested scene things, and I just put them in wherever I wanted. So this way, they always stay consistent. They're always going to be in the same place for any scenes that I use them. This is like mind-blowing, making things so much easier and better. It makes things so much more consistent. Instead of like duplicating a scene that you get it right and then you change it in one place and it doesn't change in the other place and stuff like that. Speaking of webcam, I have what may be a dummy question. No dummy questions here. I have used Zoom meetings with myself and have a background. I can't seem to get to do that, what you're doing. Just your head with a green screen. Just doesn't work well as it is always dark. Well, part of that, and I get into that in here. for lighting, so this is only like part of your question. For lighting, cheaper webcams are by far less sensitive than better webcams lighting wise. And if you've got not so professional webcam, especially if you're trying to do green screen, it's key to have more lighting. And that's something that's cheap and easy to fool around with too. So you can, so for instance, I have my normal room light, which is not super bright. But what I've also got is my television. Let me go to this so I can see what I'm doing. My television, which is like behind my desk in front of me, I have a lamp with no shade on it behind the TV with that light splashing on the wall, so I don't have like direct light on me, and that's helping fill it in. Now, the key thing to getting green screen working right on OBS is there a way for me to do this without changing scenes? Well, I'll just add something, and then so webcam. So that's not. Let me just add a source. So let's say, can I add my video capture device? So let's say oh no, I don't need to do that. I can do webcam C92. That's right, I could do this. Okay. Here's the thing. If you add this, you have filters. One of those filters is called chroma key. And chroma key, I think you're saying, yes, you're saying what I'm, I think you're saying what I'm saying. You can adjust how sensitive the chroma key is. And playing around with these settings and the smoothness and all this stuff can make a huge difference on how well your green screen works. So you add a filter called chroma key. Now I've got other fun filters that I use for special effects. And I've got red, and I've got green, and there's other fun things you can do. So like when I do, so I've got a thing that I can do where I put on a devil's voice.
And when I do my devil's voice, it also changes my face to red.
But I'm just showing off there. But this is the key, getting that chroma key settings right. And part of my checklist is, that's another really important thing that I wanted to mention. If you do nothing else, it's important to develop a checklist, like a run book of everything that you need to do before you start streaming that day. Because it's so often you forget something, even though you've been doing it all the time. So I have this checklist, and I run through that checklist to make sure that, you know, that light's on and the green screen is set up, and I've got my laptop set up, and I got my tablet set up, and I got all that stuff. But I think you're right about the light. Draping the chair. Yes, that's that was a fairly recent addition. Let me open that up again. Because I have a gaming chair, let me turn off chroma key completely. Because I've got a gaming chair which comes up over here, combined with the fact that I have no hair, the chair would like appear and disappear around and behind me. So I just bought like the cheapest green screen that I could off of Amazon. The one behind me is kind of nice, and it is like mounting points or whatever. But I just put this green screen on my chair, and I have it like safety pinned behind, and I just leave it there. And that also helps with work. I will mention something else. Got one that slides into the back of my chair. Oh, I've seen those. I've seen those. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know how well they work. I've seen those though. But another thing I want to talk about, you're talking about Zoom. Yeah, probably because the back is not just like a flat surface. The back is on a gaming chair is all, yeah, exactly. But if you just get, a $10 green screen off of Amazon or someplace that's actually not a horrible business, and just put it over there and safety pin it in place, that's what I did. What else did I wanted to talk about? Oh yes, you mentioned Zoom. Something that a lot of people don't know is that there's a plugin for OBS. Let me close this, and let me. Where was the thing that I added? The webcam. Okay, and I can go back to put this over here so people don't get nauseous. There we go. There is a plugin for OBS that could make OBS itself appear as a webcam to your computer. And that means you can have all your fancy OBS stuff and backgrounds and scenes and stuff like that, and use that as a webcam for Zoom. And I'm thinking about doing that for my next Arduino class. There's another thing. If you're, yeah, it's interesting. There's also this thing called DroidCam. I don't think I have it in this scene, but there's a thing called DroidCam, which makes your Android phone. It connects to your Android phone over Wi-Fi or cable and makes it work like another webcam. So, for instance, if I was doing my Arduino classes, I can have this webcam looking at me all the time, and then when I wanted to show off the Arduino board, I can fire up DroidCam on my phone and have a second camera that I can point to the board. Tons and tons of stuff, because there's so many people out there that have so many needs. It's just fascinating. Yeah, I think I can cast my phone on my computer, and then I could use that as a source. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is like using DeX or something like this. This is a little different because it's iPhone. Okay, yeah, so you can, yeah, there's the Android equivalent of DeX, I think, is built into all iPhones. So you could do something like that. But here it would be a little better, I think, if you can integrate it into OBS as a source, because that would give you more control. But you could certainly do what you were talking about. Well, let me turn my filter back on. Filters, chroma key, and there we go. That's better. Not everybody likes this look. A lot of people have like a background behind their camera and a border, and there's all sorts of branding for doing that, and tons of videos out there for doing that. Any other topics that people want to ask about? Haven't heard any questions about microphones or specifics about what kind of computing hardware you need. Some of the topics that I've covered in here. Also keep in mind with the audio, I was showing those filters for the video, and you have all sorts of like cropping and chroma keying and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that chat in the tech help. And I think he's using PAVU Demux to he was talking about using that to have different sound sources appear in different places with panning. That was kind of interesting. I use that tool a lot also for balancing it out, not for my streams because I'm using Windows for my streams, but for other stuff. I do that a fair amount. I should delete this before I get into trouble. I do that sometimes, a neat little rectangle. Yeah, for me, I like the look of I guess I can go back to chat general now. I like the look of me just appearing over whatever else. But that's just a personal preference. But some other stuff I can do is, so I've got a page on my touch portal that can change my background. My hair has too many colors. Yeah, my hair is invisible, so I don't have that problem. But so I've got buttons on my touch portal. I've got one of those nested scenes I showed you is called background, and I could change the background image and it'll come up the same on every scene. So right now I've got my server, but I can change to a gray background. I've got this one I use when I'm gaming sometimes. I've got this one that I use a lot, certainly for Pride Month. I use this a lot for that. And then I've got like specific ones for like Halloween and Thanksgiving and stuff like that I change to. And it's just press of a button and all of my scenes will change. Yeah, if you've got green in your hair, that might mess with the that might mess with the green screen also, but you can set the sensitivity to pretty specific. So you should still be able to effectively use the green screen. 3 shades of aqua and blue and 3 shades. Very nice. I didn't, I guess your camera, I didn't see that while you were streaming. I guess your camera was a little too small, or maybe I just wasn't looking for that. But very cool. I like that. So you might want to do a background behind you that is like complementary colors to that. It's not a good camera and it's not good lighting and it's pulled back. Yeah, that's one of the things I talk about in this document. Let me go back to Chrome. Oh, right, I changed Chrome to look at that. Give me a second. There we go. So one of the things I talk about is like environment, and there's a couple of things where that comes into play. Obviously, if you're going to be doing activities other than sitting in a chair, you need room for that. But it also comes into play in your webcam placement and your microphone placement. And you can, and I talk about microphones in detail here, but you know, the further away your microphone is, the further away your webcam is, the more stuff is going to get picked up that's not you. And maybe you're okay with that. So for instance, I was watching a streamer the other day where the webcam was pretty far back, so you could see a lot of her. But it turns out that she does things like she's got a tip amount to do squats, and she's got a tip amount to do certain physical things. So she wants her camera back. I am not really looking to accentuate my body any more than is needed to be me. So I've got my camera on and my microphone very close to me. And there's a lot you can do with filters on the audio too. In particular, streaming Ring Fit, it's workout stuff. Yeah, so you might want to have, you can have one webcam, but several different scenes set up for it. So you could have it at different like zoom levels for different activities and switch between them. Right, so what I've got, and this is not for everybody, but what I've, since I got, yeah, so what I've got, because I want my webcam right up close, and I also want my microphone right up close, I designed and 3D printed my own stand that sits right at the edge of my desk, and it holds my microphone and my webcam. One thing that I learned from some some videos on learning how to look more professional in Zoom now that everybody's remote, is having the webcam at your eye level staring right at you makes you more connected to people. So when it's up on your monitor, it's kind of pointed down at you, which is also a problem with the fact that I've got no hair. So I've got this at eye level. So the stand, I have a Blue Yeti. So I have a Blue Yeti also. And I designed and 3D printed a stand where it wouldn't be, there's no easy way for me to show you it. But if you were interested, I could send you the design and you could print one out. So basically, I've got like a heavy stand, and then in back there's an upright and a mount for the camera. And I've got my camera, my webcam has a standard tripod mount. So I've got like a slot in there that I can position it up and down using that tripod mount. And then I've got in front of it, I've got a fork for the Blue Yeti to be mounted in with holes for the screws. So I've taken off the bracket that the Blue Yeti comes with and I've mounted it on that. Would love to see it. Yeah, maybe I can try to figure out how to take a pic. So the problem is, like, I'd want to take a picture of it without like showing a lot of other stuff in my room. But I could. So let me describe my setup a little more, my physical setup a little more. So like I said, I've got 2 computers under my desk. I'm only using the Windows one for streaming. Oh, I could do that. Let's see if let me do that off stream. Let me I will take a picture of the stand off screen. What I can do, can I do that? No, I will take a picture of it off stream and post it off stream. And like I said, I designed it myself. So if you have access to a 3D printer, or somebody who has one, you can 3D print one yourself. And it's separate components. So like the yoke that the microphone is attached to is a separate component, and it screws on, which means I can swivel the microphone and I can angle it up and down also. Yeah, so what I've got for my setup is I've got my desk in front of me, and behind me is like, behind that, not behind me, but behind the monitors, that away, is I've got a dresser and my TV, and I've got the light behind the TV splashing on the wall for fill light. I've got 2 monitors on my desk, and having 2 monitors is really, really key if you can pull it off, if you've got enough space for it, because that means you can have the content that you're streaming on one monitor and OBS and all your other software on the other side. Now, that's not sometimes that backfires, because a lot of times there's games that don't have a windowed mode, and whenever you change the cursor away, like the active window, to something else, the game minimizes or does something else weird, and that's kind of a problem. But that's where Touch Portal comes in, because using Touch Portal you can control a lot of your OBS stuff without having to change away. I have a high-res 144 hertz gaming monitor on my right, and on my left is OBS and Touch Portal and my editor and the window where my bot is running in, and my music and that kind of stuff. Then in front of this monitor, below the left monitor, I have my tablet, which is running the Touch Portal client, and I've got that set up on a stand at an angle, so it's at a nice position. Now what I also have is, to the left of that, left of the monitor and everything, I have my laptop, and I like having my stream up on the laptop also. So that's not broadcasting, that's receiving. so I can see exactly what's going out. But it also means that if I need to, I can type in chat without getting out of the game. Or if I forget to change my category, I can change my category without getting out of the game, and things like that. And other things like, so on my stream, one of the integrations that I have on in Twitch is I've got Giphy. I've got Giphy integration, so I can have Giphy pop up images over my stream like that. And you search, you know how everybody knows how Giphy works. So if you look at, you could try it. It's a lot of fun. This is like really, really good for engagement, having stuff like this, stuff that the users can do. So if you move your cursor over to the mid right part of my screen, you should see this Giphy thing pop up, and you could search for images and click on it, and they send up on the screen. You have a tab, my channel, and a tab with Twitch stream. I have a tab in my channel and a tab Twitch stream manager on the other monitor. Yes, there you go. And once I start my game over it, yes, yeah, you could do that, but a lot of times you run into, like I said, like if you change focus away from the game gets all pouty and minimizes, and then when you go back to the game, it's showing your desktop, which is not great. So having two monitors is really helpful. Running the laptop on the side is very helpful for me, but I wouldn't call that mandatory. Big question. Have you figured out a good plugin or something to have closed captions? I do not use closed captions. Most of the closed captioning that I've seen is not very good. And I think bad closed captioning is worse than no closed captioning. I have seen a couple of streamers use it, and I'm not sure what they're using. I have seen some streamers use good closed captioning, but I don't know what they use. That's not something that I've really looked into. As much as I like being supportive of, other abilities and stuff like that, I just haven't really found any demand for it. Maybe if I became a bigger streamer, I might do that. As a human who can hear and also use CC, a lot of help to my parsing, the CC is better than, okay. Well, I mean, that's, I guess that's a matter of like what your needs are. Personally, I'd rather not have it. It's something that I've thought about adding to my stream, but I haven't really, I mean, nobody that watches my stream currently would benefit from it. But it's something to consider. Yeah, I think, doesn't Twitch have its own CC that you could use, closed caption that you could use? No, like I said, it hasn't been a high priority of mine. Nobody who watches my stream would, nobody who watches my stream would benefit from it. And it may be that adding that, I'd get more people to my stream that do. So, it's on my list somewhere, but not a high priority for me. Yeah, but the question is, how good is it? I've seen streamers talk about, with closed captioning that just posts all sorts of crap to the screen, and it's more distracting. And there's also the screen real estate. So, let's say I'm in gaming mode and I'm showing a game. I've got this covering up and I've got the chat covering up part of it. If I had closed captioning on top of it too, how much is that going to interfere with it? I don't know. But the extension working reliably is the issue. Maybe that'll be my next technical challenge. I've been putting, for the past couple of months, I've been putting an awful lot of energy into my chatbot. But now I've got it where I'm proud of the code and it has all the functionality that I need right now. Maybe I'll switch gears to looking into that and implement it in some fun way. Yeah, so this is currently, let me go to chat general. Currently, this over here in the upper right-hand corner, I am using the Streamlabs labels for that. But I am looking to replace that functionality with my bot. But I haven't gotten there yet. There's certain aspects of it that are a little harder to do with my bot. But I got to find another way to do it. So that I am using Streamlabs label for. You know, originally when everything went down with Streamlabs, I said, well, as long as I'm not paying them money for everything, it's kind of okay. But I think I'd rather not use anything of theirs. So if you're streaming with OBS, are you integrating Streamlabs with your... No. So, yeah. They have... let me do this. Yeah, that's safe to do. Go back to gaming, so I'm showing my right desktop. So Streamlabs has a separate application called Streamlab Labels that you can run. And this is free. And you can run this even with OBS. And it connects to your Twitch, and then it writes out all those values to files. And then I have labels on my stream that read those files and put the values on the screen. So that's how I do that. But again, I'm looking to get away from that just on ideological, for ideological reasons. I'd rather not be using that. Hobbit says in Discord, also, if you got insights into streaming out of Discord, I'd love discussion. Looks into XSplit a little bit. Doesn't really get it. Didn't really get it. I don't know. I'm actually going to be involved. I'm going to be part of a podcast that some other people are doing. I'm going to be a guest on their podcast. And you're going to be using Discord for that, where I will connect to their Discord and have my camera up, and he's going to tile that. But I imagine you would just be able to make that as a source from OBS. So, like, let's say... Oh, gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Sorry about that, pal. Do you feel strongly enough that you would want me to try to edit that part out? It would be a lot of work, but I could try doing it. But I got you, pal. Okay. But I switched to that because you said that he was talking there, so I will try. I will try. Because what I could always do is I could turn the thing into a highlight, but taking out those parts. I'll try to do that. Yeah, I'll try to do that before I put it up. I may not be able to finish it today then, but certainly by tomorrow, I'll try to do that. So any other general questions, topics that we want to slap a mask over that part of the column? Well, I'd rather just not show it at all. So I've got two screens. So right now I've got Discord up on my right channel, so I'm seeing what you're typing. And on my left, I've got OBS going. So right now I can read what you're typing and just not broadcast it. And then we Gucci. Yeah, I got you. I got you. I know. Oh, that would be infinitely more work. Trying to mask out part of the video would be infinitely more work than just cutting out that segment of the stream. Because I think the questions that we covered were a little on the specific side, and it's not content that people will miss anyway, I think. Getting used to streaming, you get spoiled with the Vimeo Studio and feed arbitrary. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that OBS can do with like different sound channels and whatnot. Do you have a Premiere Pro or something similar that would be easy? No. Like I said, almost everything that I do is under Linux. So I don't have any Adobe tools at all because Adobe will never support Linux. But what I can do, which should be relatively easy, is let's say I make a there's tons of tools for video editing under Linux. And I've played a lot of them. I think the one that I use the most is KDE and Live. But it would be a lot of work. What I think I'd rather do is you can create a highlight of your videos. So what I'll do is basically create a highlight that's the whole video minus that one part. And Twitch has that video editor where I could just easily say, cut that out, and then do that as a highlight, which will be 95% of the whole video. And then I can just put that highlight up and put that highlight up on YouTube. I think that's the fastest way to do that. Yeah, being me, I also have a bunch of command line tools to do video stuff that use like under the covers that use like FFmpeg and other tools. So like I've got scripts that could like cut off the beginning or cut off the end, or record just a segment of it and save that as I figured out the command line stuff, how to do those things, and I made my own scripts that call it with the right parameters, things like that. But that wouldn't really help with this. So I think that'll be the easiest way to do it, is just cut out that couple of minutes segment. So, any other questions? We've covered an awful lot of topics. This is great because I was afraid that there'd be, Tapao here, and as interesting as she is, just answering her questions, would have been, we could have done that as a one-on-one conversation. So FFmpeg is crazy versatile. Yeah, so I also use FFmpeg for some of that, especially for converting formats, like, getting the audio out of a saved video and things like that. There's sometimes I want a particular sound clip for my soundboard, and I just can't find it. And I'll take a video and download it using, QDL, I think is the name of it. And then I'll use one of those tools like FFmpeg to copy just the audio out. And then I use my cutting tools to get just the part of the audio that I want out of it. While I'm talking about like dual platform, YouTube DL, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which ironically doesn't work very well on YouTube itself anymore, but it does work on a lot of other platforms. YouTube DL. One of the things that I do, this is kind of a funky use case, but we have talked briefly about streaming on multiple computers, where you'd have one computer that's doing the streaming and one computer that's using a gaming, and having HDMI capture card to feed from one to the other. Yes, exactly. So some people have needs like that where you need to get stuff on both computers. And there's a lot of tools for like doing your own file sync between computers. The one I happen to use is a company called Mega. They have a product called MegaSync. And everything that's involved in my streaming, I have duplicated between my Linux computer and my Windows computer. So like if I do most of my development for my Twitch bot on Linux, because most of the functionality I don't actually need to be streaming to test. but all that stuff automatically gets copied over to my Windows computer whenever I start it up. But likewise, if I'm on my Windows computer and I need to change a configuration setting, that automatically gets copied over to the other computer. It also means that I've got versioned backups of everything, in addition to using GitHub, which of course I do. Let's see what else. Let me go back to this document and see if there's any other big topics that I would want to cover. And again, I posted the link to this a couple of times. If anybody needs it, I can post it again. We just talked about computers. We did talk about webcams. We talked about the microphones. There are streamers that start out and they're like, well, I need to spend $2,000 on hardware. And they'll get a fancy XLR microphone and a mixer with phantom power and stuff like that. And then they find out streaming's not for them. And that's just ridiculous. So it's a lot better. The difference between something like the Blue Yeti and something like the SM7B, which is a $400 microphone, but is very common for higher level streamers. Like most of the streamers that get 100, 200 people in their stream are using Shure SM7B or something similar. The sound quality difference will be not really that noticeable if you're applying filters right. And there's like tons of videos out there how to apply filters to make your microphone sound better. So I've got a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of filters in place on my microphone to prevent clipping, to cut off the audio when it goes below a certain level, so it's picking up background noises less. The big guns is last year, I think, NVIDIA came out with this suite of software that if you're using an NVIDIA graphics card and certain kinds of microphones, etc., you can do noise canceling on your GPU, and it's freaking amazing. In the summer, I could run my air conditioner 6 feet to the left of me, and it wouldn't come out on cam. And it's totally amazing stuff. We did talk about lighting. We talked about green screen. We talked about having 2 monitors if you can. We talked about the Stream Decks and the touch portals and the Orin brand. Always willing to talk about that stuff. Feel free to hit me up in the Discord or message me personally if you want to talk about that stuff more. This is a good page. OBS came up with their own page which goes over all the different filters that you can use for audio, and that's really handy. We talked about some of this stuff, sound alerts. So a lot of people like playing sounds over the stream, and sound alerts is another third-party partner where you can integrate. So you'll notice on my stream, in the About panels below. Actually, I need to talk about branding. But in the About panel below, there's one where you could use channel pointer bits to do different sounds. I talked about polling. I've got a listing of some of the popular bots out there, and a link to my bot if anybody wants to check it out. Music source. Cannot stress enough that you need to stay away from stuff that might land you a DMCA strike, because it's now 3 strikes and you're out, and a lot of times you really don't have any recourse. You can't argue about it. So you need to find music sources that are DMCA safe. Personally, I use Pretzel Rock, and I use Pretzel Rock for 2 reasons. First of all, idealistically, out of the music services that can give you Twitch safe music, they pay the highest percentage to the artist. I actually researched this because a lot of people use specific what do you call it? God, I hate my brain. the music service that everybody uses. They have I can't remember the name now, which is really weird, but they have like specific channels that are like safe to use for that kind of music, but they don't pay the artist anything. So I like the fact that I'm paying for, yes, thank you, Spotify. Spotify, I pay for Spotify Premium, but the artists don't really get very much of that money. So Pretzel Rock has a free service that you could use, but you could also use a paid service. You could pay them, and the artists get more of that money than from any of the other options out there. And it also has separate check marks for Twitch Safe and for YouTube Safe. It's got a whole bunch of different channels. There's a separate checkbox for instrumental that I use because I don't ever want songs with words fighting with me in the background. Stuff like that. I do want to talk about branding. I should probably wrap up at 5 because that'll be 2 hours, but I think that's good. The questions have slowed down, but absolutely feel free to come out with more questions. I mentioned before how hard it is to be found as a new streamer. So there's a couple of ways which you can make yourself stand out. And some of that is the branding on your stream. I mentioned the about panels that show up below your stream. If you could see, I've got a ton of stuff there, and I've put work into making those, line up nice, making sure that the more important ones are at top. And they let people know, even if they're not seeing me streaming, what kind of stream do I run? What am I into? What do I value? What kind of stuff will they be able to do in my stream? Things like that. What kind of games I've played. Obviously, you've got channel points, which you can have people, play sounds or, hydrate or something like that. This, having interesting stuff there is a way for helping the viewers interact with your stream. And the same goes for like the sounds that I did, that I talked about before, and things that you can do for specific bits, things like that. Even within the naming of your channel points. So when you set up your streaming, you can actually come up with a name for your channel points. You don't have to call them channel points. And I call mine Tuxbucks because of the Linux theme. So, it's every opportunity that you can find to make your stream different from anybody else's that doesn't cost a lot of money. You should look for that as a way of making yourself stand out. And I talked about the checklist. Can't emphasize that enough. I'd be so screwed if I didn't have that checklist. As long as I've been streaming, I forget stuff. If I don't go through the checklist, like a lot of times before I went to the checklist, the green screen behind me is actually in front of a shelving unit, and that shelving unit has my laptop on it. So I would often set up the green screen, and they're like, "Oh wait, I need I need my laptop from the shelving unit behind it," and I would have to like lift up the green screen and grab it out. So now I just go through that list. What else do we got? The kind of content that you want to stream. There are people that they play 1 or 2 games and that's all they play and that defines their stream. And that's fine. It's going to attract a particular kind of user and they're going to know what they're going to get. And that's fine. Some people, like me, stream particular kinds of games. I tend to lean towards puzzle and adventure and horror games, but I look for ones that have a very cool, unique look and feel, or some kind of binding element that goes through. I also sometimes play cheap or free janky games, but as long as they are sufficiently fun. But you got to figure out what you want to stream, and you have to strike a balance between stuff that people want to see and stuff that there's already too many people streaming. And you could actually see on Twitch's browse, thing, how many people are streaming each thing at any one time and look at it. But there's also websites out there. I don't have a link handy, but there's at least 2 websites I know out there which do heavy tracking of who's streaming what on Twitch, how many people are streaming what on Twitch, and they actually like graph it over time, like this game is popular at 8 o'clock and it's less popular at 12 o'clock, things like that. So I actually looked at, when I was starting the stream, those kind of analytics, because I knew like determining when I wanted to start my stream. I saw this sweet spot at 8 o'clock. So, and it also means it gives me enough time after dinner to get ready. But so you can like make whatever numbers you can work for your advantage. Let me see if I can Google it real quick. Twitch streaming analytics. Yeah, Twitch tracker is one of them. Checking your browser. So this will show you how many people are streaming and what time zone, at what time, how many people. This is key. Look at this. Viewers versus streamers, because there's supply and demand, and you need to consider both. So you don't want to stream when there's not a lot of viewers and there's a whole lot of streamers. You see, like, over time, that's going to change. I know there's at least one more. That was one of the ones I was thinking of. Sully Gnome? That doesn't sound like the other one. Streams charts? I don't think this is it. Stream Mentor? But it looks like they have... Oh, I will mention this. Stream Scheme. They have a YouTube channel. What is this? Let me go to there. Yes. This company, this is a group of streamers, and they put out a ton of YouTube videos, and most of them are very, very good for talking about setting up on streaming, and they talk about like real issues. So their videos are like very good to look at if you look them up on YouTube. And you can see some of the topics. They have a lot of videos on like getting the microphone to sound right, and things like that, setting up your environment, things like that. But going back to I think this is a good one. There was another website, but I don't think it was coming up in the search results, that talk about that kind of stuff. So but I also mentioned on here, what are your goals? Different people are streaming for different reasons, and not everybody actually wants to become a big streamer. Some people are just doing it for fun. They're like, well, I'm going to be playing this game anyway. Why don't I stream it so other people can see me? And, you know, what you do to achieve that goal is going to be very different than somebody who really, really wants to get ahead. So, like, one of the streamers that I watch almost every time she streams, she really, really, really wants to make partner. She's very set on making partner, and she mentions it like every hour on stream. So what she does is a lot different than what other people do. I personally am solidly convinced that I'm never going to make partner. So that's not a goal of mine. That kind of growth is not what's important to me. Engagement is what's important to me. I want people interacting with me in stream, having conversations or playing games together and stuff like that. That's what's important to me. You know, I've got talking here about like whether you want to show your face on camera or not. That was kind of a little bit of a difficult decision for me because I don't look like your normal streamer. But the more I spent time on Twitch, the more I saw people who were not, were not supermodels, older guys, guys that, didn't really, overweight guys. There's a lot of women out there that, are not going for looks, but, they're still showing their face because that helps with the branding and with making your stream stick out. But, it turns out that not being, a 20-something attractive person shouldn't be a barrier to streaming. That there's people streaming of all sorts of ages. There's one streamer, her name is Granny, and she really super entertaining in part because she's got this very thick Scottish accent. But she plays all sorts of games and she's a lot of fun. Yes, well, I mean, maybe that came out wrong. It's not that I don't expect people to look different. It's I was surprised how willing other people were to watch streamers that don't fit the typical look, feel, age bracket. That's really what I meant. That there was an audience, there was a willing audience for people. Now, in my stream, I make it work in my favor. So my stream is generally a lot more chill, and I emanate those dad vibes, and I often get people who want to talk about serious stuff in my stream because they've got some patient guy who's been around and has advice. So we'll talk about I will stop a game. This has actually happened. I will stop a game mid-track and then have a 40-minute conversation with somebody about an issue that they're having in their job. Because the important thing for me is not showing off how great a gamer I am. It's me interacting with my audience and bonding with my audience and getting those social interactions in there. But that's just my stream, and that the dad jokes and the older guy who's seen things, I make that work for me by putting out that kind of culture into my stream. And I know there's another streamer that I recently started watching, but I also catch almost all of his streams because he's very much the same kind of ilk. He's got a fart command, and he doesn't just have a fart command. He's got a fart command that has 30 different farts, and it plays one at random. And he's got stuff like that. So this is another piece of functionality from my bot is doing this. I've got a dad joke command. And every time you type in dad joke, it'll print one of 2,000 dad jokes or whatever I have in that file right now. So that, that's the vibe of my stream. That's not going to work for everybody, but I've taken advantage of, that's me. I happen to be a very patient, empathetic person. So I use that to my advantage on stream. And I also have no problem, as you've noticed, talking for very long periods of time. There's a lot of streamers out there that hardly talk at all. And that's their vibe. I tend to not enjoy those streamers as much. In fact, okay, well, I purposely don't have as we've discussed, I don't have the Discord up anymore, so I couldn't see that, but that's fine. I'm curious if you can answer this in a way that's not disclosing. There's somebody that I know that's his nickname has been Hobbit for decades, and they're kind of on the older side and walk around barefoot a lot. Is that the same Hobbit, or is that a different Hobbit? I don't know if you know Hobbit in person. Okay, it is. Okay. Yeah, so I've casually known him. Well, we've been in the same communities forever, of course, for decades. But I was just curious if it was the same one. Very, very cool guy. I can't imagine walking around. I mean, I've seen him on the subway barefoot, and that's just okay. Really hard on non-Arisia events and weekends, and yes, very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, so we talked about the kind of vibe, what kind of things you want to stream. This isn't really relevant to you, but maybe it's relevant to becoming a more frequent streamer is, why aren't you doing it yet? It's very easy to come up with excuses for not streaming. So it's kind of important to, I'm kind of a business person. So for me, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Share it with whoever you want. It's very easy to come up with excuses not to stream. And if you're just starting or you want to do it more seriously, it's important to okay, well, let's list exactly what I need to do to get there and then work on those things. It's kind of like what I talked about with what are your goals. You have to have a list of what are the things that I need to do? Where do I want to be and how am I going to get there to stop making excuses? So, like I said, I started streaming the beginning of March. Coincidentally, it was a week away from when I started my current job. And I've missed one day I was very sick. There was one day where, I don't know if you remember, but a couple of months ago, there was this big, effectively a streamer walkout where people were protesting Twitch, and I didn't stream on that day in solidarity with them. And there was one day recently where I got a couple of hours sleep for 3 days in a row. And that last day, which was the day I normally would have streamed on, I got woken up 4:30 by a failing smoke detector after only sleeping for 2 hours. And I said, this is not a good day to stream. And I had a conscious reason to not stream on that day. Beyond that, I don't look for excuses not to stream, and I'm almost always streaming every Wednesday. And that's kind of another reason why I only stream one day a week, because I know it's a commitment that I can keep. It's a reasonable commitment. There was a group that I was on the board of, a nonprofit that I was on the board of, that was taking a lot of my time, and I've since dropped out of that. And I've decided that I still don't want to increase how often I stream yet, because I know I can do that Wednesdays. And there's also plays in, I've got a ton of streamer friends that are streaming on different days, and that would mean conflicting with their competing with their streams and missing it myself. So we're coming up on 5 now. I can go longer, but I haven't seen any questions in a while. So if we don't have any more questions, maybe I'll wrap it up. And I'll start wrapping up by doing another advertisement for myself, because yeah, okay, good. So maybe I'll just end here. You all know how to get in touch with me, and I will hopefully see you guys in one of my streams soon. Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity to do this, and I hope it was helpful. Yes. Oh, yes, it is very stressful. You're going to pull me up, or you're just going to leave me hanging there? What? And we should be back. Can you guys hear me? Is the mic working again? Yeah, I guess so. If you're saying welcome back, I guess so. Okay. That was close. Yes. Yes, no! Oh. Okay. Now, if I had the axe, that would have been really cool. Okay. So let's try that again once more with axe. Yes! Oof. None? Okay. Okay. I I see what was slowing me down last time. I don't know that I'm gonna get it this time. Yes, 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 yes! Yes, yes, yes! Oh. Oh. Okay. We're close enough to 1 that I'll keep playing this till 1. But this is fucking ridiculous. Oh, I'm glad I figured that out. Oh. Very cool. Oh, that's super cool. Redemption moment. That's worth a clip.